see
Yeah.
Michael's in the room. Looks like we have a room full of coaches today, which is interesting. But that doesn't stop us from doing what we need to do, right? So,
Yep.
who would like to help me start off by reading the 17 Club purpose statement?
I'll do that.
All right, Phil, I'll go ahead and share my screen. As soon as I get my cursor where it belongs, there we go. And it is yours, my friend.
Okay, here we go. The 17 Club. We forge a brotherhood where no man walks alone, no potential is wasted, and every man is challenged to discover his purpose, develop his gifts, and live a life of significance. Together, we unlock the man, unleash the mission, and change the world.
Yes.
Love
Yes.
that.
Thank you, Phil. I appreciate that.
Can you send that to
And
me, please?
yes, absolutely. I'll send it out.
Thank you.
Matter of fact, I might even try to drag it into the chat, see if we can get it there. I have not been successful lately, but we can give that a try. Um, so thank you for that, Phil. And yes, we are in a position to change the world, especially our personal worlds. And so, the message that we send out each and every week that we meet is that we don't have to continue drifting, just following the circumstances that happen around us. We can observe what's happening around us. We can choose what we want to do in our own personal worlds, and hopefully, by all of us doing that as individuals, we eventually will have a larger impact on the overall world, which we have very little control over. Right. So thank you for reading that, Phil. I appreciate it. As always, like to start out with a win today. Anyone have a win this week that you'd like to share with the group?
Well,
Go
I
ahead,
can.
Luis. Yeah, go ahead, brother.
Well, today is my son's birthday, 16,
16.
and I got the opportunity to buy him a car, a truck.
Happy
Not
birthday.
all up front, but a very good chunk, and he's gonna pay for the whatever $4,000 or $5,000 left. So yeah, really, really, really grateful for that. And we've been cooking this for a while. We gave it to him la Friday. This Friday, he came back from camp, and he couldn't believe it. It was a really good surprise. So we're going later. Well, my wife and him are going to get his permit so he can drive all by himself now. So it's as a dad, as a man, as a leader of the family, I feel extremely proud and happy that he's starting off better than when my dad gave me my first car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a great feeling, isn't it? That's a great feeling.
Yes.
My kids are older. My son is 37. My daughter's soon to be 40, and but I still remember those days when they got their first vehicles, and you kind of let them go. It's kind of like the first time that your heart gets into your throat the minute they drive out without supervision, right? But it's also a great time to give lessons. You're giving your son, but you're not giving your son. I mean, you've given him an opportunity,
Yeah.
and he's also going to be responsibility for writing the check to pay for the rest of the vehicle. Likewise, my daughter, she chose to buy a new car, and I co-signed for it. And then I think it was probably 2 or 3 months after she got the car, she decided to leave her job to go to a different job.
Mm.
Only challenge was is that she didn't have another job to go to, so she found herself unemployed for a couple of months. And the lesson was, Heather, I'm sorry that you can't find a job. Maybe you should have given that a little bit more thought. In the real world, when you can't pay your bills, the bank repossesses the vehicle.
Mm.
Fortunately for you, my repossession of your vehicle will not affect your credit rating, but until you get a job, I'll be taking away the keys. And you can see the little alligator tear, drip down her eye. But these are lessons, right? These are lessons that we have to learn. And quite frankly, within a few weeks, she had another job and she was able to pay her bills. And lesson learned, mission accomplished, right? So awesome, great. Then congratulations, Luis. I know that's a milestone in the lives
Thank
for
you.
all of us as
Thank you.
parents. Yeah. Anyone else have a win they'd like to share? Go ahead, Leroy.
Yeah, on that same, I had shared a couple weeks ago that my youngest son is now 18 and got his license, and he, so he's been battling with, you know, this stuff all his life. His that led up to his kidney transplant, and but yeah, just reflecting back, I got 7 children, so I went through it 7 times with, taking them out for the first time driving, and then I I did that for all my others, and I was not able to do it so much for my youngest son. My wife did most of the driving with him, and so last week he went to church camp, and me and my wife went to our next older son. He just turned 20 last week, and he bought a property in West Virginia. We went there to help him with that, and then our youngest son was supposed to be home by noon, and so my wife, she was trying to message him and never got a response. So she started, of course, worrying about it. And so finally she said, we got to go home. And so we got home. Yeah, he was in the bedroom on his bed. Yeah, he's all right. He hadn't taken a charger with him for his phone, so he didn't bother charging it up, and didn't do it when he got home. He went to sleep, and
Yeah, no big
but
deal.
yeah,
Chill out,
it's
Mama.
like,
Everything's
yeah,
fine.
to him it was it's amazing, to watch your children grow up, and all of a sudden, now here they were young, and all of a sudden now they're all adults. It's the
Mhm.
transformation is amazing. So,
Yeah, yeah. The transformation is amazing. And look how big they've grown, right?
yeah,
Oh my God.
yeah,
Yeah, we look how fast that went by. So congratulations, Leroy.
yeah.
I see Rob has made it into the room. Rob, I thought you went to the Philippines. I wasn't expecting seeing you today.
No, I leave at the end of the month, end of
Uh,
August.
Man, I was waiting for such a great win from you.
I'll try to join the meeting from the Philippines. Right now it's 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night in the Philippines.
Yep,
So
yep, it
when I'm
is.
there, I'll try to join. Yeah.
At that point we want. I mean, do you speak Tagalog?
No.
You should probably buy it. You should probably buy a dictionary so you know what everybody's saying about you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I spent a little time in the Philippines. My ship docked in Subic Bay many times, which
Wow.
was the largest naval base up there until they finally closed it down. But yeah, a lot of times in Subic Bay, which is not the best place to visit in the Philippines. It's kind of like going to Tijuana, saying, "Okay, I've been to Mexico." Yeah,
Yeah.
you haven't been to Mexico, you've been to Tijuana.
Yeah.
You got to go a little deeper to see a little bit more, right, Luis?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, so anyone else have a win? I'll go. Michael, he's having fun over there. He's laughing up a storm. I don't know what's going on in Canada.
I'm being bombarded by these damn puppies, Frank.
the, I love it when the puppies come in. All
Oh
right.
my gosh. So our one puppy's 12 weeks old now, and he's nearly 40 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's growing quick.
Oh man. Yeah.
What sort of breed those puppies are?
He's a Bernese Mountain Dog Mastiff cross.
Well,
Wow,
yeah,
that's
he's going to be a
that's
big
huge
one.
dog. That's a huge dog.
Oh,
That's
Oh my God.
wow. And how old is he?
he's 3 months old.
No way, man.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Look at him.
It's gonna grow as a
I
horse.
remember when you first got him, he was just like, a puppy. He's still a
Yeah.
puppy. Man, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, very big trouble. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
at least when they grow, they actually have some protection, some close
Yeah,
protection.
you're
Some good
growing
dog
it to
allegiance.
defend yourself from bears or what?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm up in Canada, so you never know, right?
Yeah, you never know what might be up there in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Although
exactly.
so here's a cool win in the bay right by my house here. We had a humpback whale yesterday,
Wow.
breaching
Nice.
and eating. Yeah, yeah. So coming up and breaching out of the water and grabbing the herring and stuff like that. That are in
How
the-
cool is that? How cool is
Yeah,
that?
literally,
Yeah.
like we're talking 500-600 yards off the deck.
Yeah. And that's something I think we all take for granted, regardless of where we're from in the world, right? I know in the US we just had the big 4th of July celebration. ABC did this big thing, the Seven Wonders of the United States. And they got so much positive feedback from all of the videos that they've shown from all the different places in the country that they're actually going to do a 2-hour documentary of all of the great places that we don't even think about in the US, that we just take for granted. You know, the vacation spots, so what? You know, but yeah, how fortunate you are, Michael, to be able to look out your window and see those types of things. That's a
Yeah, it's
wonderful
pretty
thing.
cool. So it's
Yeah,
pretty
that's
cool.
really cool.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So it looks like Stefano from Italy has jumped in the room. Stefano, you have anything, any wins you'd like to share with the group this morning? He may be working and hiding. We're working undercover. All right. All right. Hey, this week, guys, we're supposed to be talking about specialized knowledge. And one of the quotes that Napoleon Hill gives us, I'm just going to take a moment and read that to you. Knowledge will not attract money unless it is organized and intelligently directed through practical plans of action.
yeah.
Right? You know,
One
so
of
a
my
lot of
favorite
us,
quotes from that book, baby.
I love that. You know, and a lot of us know that, we've all got a lot of knowledge. I think sometimes it's really important for us to reflect back on the knowledge that we actually have. You know, our personal life experiences give us knowledge that no one else has because it wasn't their experience, it was our experience. I think it's really important for us to recognize that. And today I'd like to spend, the first part here talking about specialized knowledge, but I also want to tie it in with something that I think we're still missing in the group, and that is definiteness of purpose, right? So I'm going to start by, let's open the floor to talk about takeaways from the chapter on specialized knowledge. What does it mean to you? What is yours? What's your specialized knowledge? And how are you organizing it to attract the money, the income, the value that you want to get out of your own personal life? So first off, let's start off with that. First off, who had a big takeaway from the chapter? Don't all talk at once, guys.
I'll say something. The more we read Think and Grow Rich in specialized knowledge, I didn't pay that much attention up to the last 2 weeks. So in the last 2 weeks, I was reading it constantly, nearly every day. And when you mentioned to read it, so I went more deeper. And what I found is majority of us are trying to achieve things, to engage with people, engage with businesses and all that. We're sending them emails, we're sending them all sort of resumes and all that. And from my side, I wasn't really making anywhere with that point, any results. And 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 there was that section here which I'm trying to, because my book is nearly fully marked, as you can see. I'm like, even the book is falling apart, so it's all really marked up. Um,
He's trying to compete with Gary Glass.
yeah, right. Never get nobody can beat Gary Gus. Gary Gus is like, woo, you know. And and there was this section that was explaining about this idea that he wanted to proceed more with businesses, but he didn't know how because he wasn't making any progress. So he hired a typewriter, and that particular young lady typewriter, she came with a genius idea. Obviously, in today's world, it's not really a genius idea, but how often we think about it, not really. To create a portfolio of ourselves, of our experience, life experience, how we started, where we started, what success have we been given, how it been helped us, and how we can actually create us in a way that we can put it towards a business, towards individuals. Because
Yeah.
by the day, we are trying to solve problems in our own personal life that we can actually give it to other people, and from that we can actually render the service and gain compensation from that. But many of us here on this call, we spend a hell of a lot of time studying the principles. Um, and I came up with this idea, why don't I use a platform, because I build platforms, systems through AI, and I've created a beautiful 12 pages, no more than 12 pages, between 8 to 12 pages of a portfolio about how I started to where I am now today. So any businesses who wants to need a business development, any businesses who are not succeeding, small, medium enterprises who are looking to grow, we have the knowledge to give to that businesses. We are aware how to do it because we understand how to do it through, because we know the principles, right? And by working through the principles, we know how to acknowledge that system, how to acknowledge that intelligence with ourselves.
Yeah,
You know
great,
what I'm
great,
saying?
great. Yeah, great
Yeah.
idea, Yaniv. Does
Yeah,
anyone
you
have
know,
any?
so with that, so I start selling, sorry, with that, so I'm just gonna finish here. I send that portfolio to 3 to 4 businesses, and I got some very good on the spot, I got some good feedback. And with that feedback, I have some engagements and meetings in the next week or 2 weeks. And all that time, I was sending stuff, emails, resumes, how good at what I can actually do, emails, letters. None of that worked. And I'm like saying to myself, why is it not working? What am I like? I'm start to think that I'm not good, right? And I said, hold on, this is an idea in this wonderful book, Thinking Grow Rich, Specialized Knowledge. And it worked. So yeah, this is what I wanted to share. And I think if you guys try to do something, try to do something different.
I think that, and thank you, Yaniv, in the point on spot on with your point of there's a lesson in the book.
Yeah.
Read the lesson, study the lesson, digest the lesson, and then do what I think the lesson tells us.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that is not tell me all the things that you can do. Share with me the things that you've done because that's what adds value.
Yeah.
Right. And in this chapter, they talk about it. I actually reviewed the Think and Grow Rich in 10 Minutes a Day this morning before our call today. And in that chapter, it says, it's one of the reasons why employers don't just look at GPAs from college grades
Yeah.
when they're hiring somebody. They're looking at a person's character. They're looking at what else have they done, involvement in the community, maybe athletics. So it's the well-rounded individual. And so whereas I've never put together an 8 to a 12-page profile of myself for an opportunity to become an employed, I do share with people my experience, the travels that I've done, the things that I've done, the multiple different occupations that I've had, both in my military career and in my civilian career, because it shows character. When you tell somebody you sold real estate for 25 years or you've served 20 years in the military, both of those statements say to someone, hey, this guy jumps into something and he stays with it long term,
Mm.
right? And that's a sign of character, right?
Yeah.
Versus look at all these degrees that I've got and all this knowledge that I've obtained. And that's what we're talking about, right? Specialized knowledge. Okay, great, but what'd you do with it? Right. So I think it's really important that we express the
Absolutely, I
value.
agree with you.
Yeah. Anyone else? Anyone else have any comments about what Yaniv shared with us? I mean, look, Rob's out there guarding Pokemon cards. Look at all the value he's bringing to us. Go get it, Rob. But it's what anybody else share what's some specialized knowledge that you have that you're using today, each and every day, to bring value to your community? Michael's got a comment. Let me see what Michael's got to say. Anybody, guys?
Sure, I'll share. From this particular chapter, Frank,
Yeah.
it illustrates one of the I think important points as business builders that we often miss is that us being a jack of all trades is probably holding us back.
Yeah.
Right? We've talked about this before, and I'm sure I've mentioned it before, but I mean, you only have so much time every day. There's only so much space in every day.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Yaniv would prefer every moment of his space be with a client in front of him, right?
Yeah.
Hiring his services and him coaching somebody.
Yeah.
And so if that's what your specialized knowledge is and that's what your talent is, every minute that you're not doing that, you're actually pulling back from a couple things. One, your impact, but two, just your earning potential.
Mm.
And so specialized knowledge to me is And as Napoleon Hill puts it in the book, right, it is a purchasable asset. And the one of the biggest keys that I have found in business is when you know where you want to finally get to, and you know exactly what you want out of something. If you have the resources, hire somebody who knows how to do that thing so that you can continue to focus on the thing that you do best.
Exactly.
Right? So if you have specialized knowledge in being able to guide someone from point A to point B, and there's a number of hurdles mentally, like you're working on their limiting beliefs, you're doing these things, you're coaching them, right? You're using the Think and Grow Rich principles to coach. And whatever tools you have, the faster you can get to having a person in front of you that needs that, the better. And one of the things with specialized knowledge that works better than general knowledge is you can charge way more for it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, and
can
I think-
charge so much more for it. It is so much more valuable, right? And for you guys, as you're growing your coaching businesses, and I was saying this in one of our sessions not that long ago with when Phil was there, I said, don't forget, most of the time what you're doing is you're changing the wrapper, you're changing the packaging, you're not changing the product. So if you go down the cereal aisle, every damn thing is the same. They're all the same product, slightly different shape, a little less sugar, a little more sugar. This one's got nuts, this one doesn't. It's all the same damn thing, right? But the fact is that, and it probably comes from the same place. The same manufacturer makes all the brands, right? This place makes 73 different types of, anyway, you get my point. But they're all different packaging. And so the guidance that we're all showing people through whatever we get, whatever we flow through, is all about packaging. And the more specialized you make your packaging, right, the more specialized and specific you make the package in which you present what you're offering, the higher somebody will pay for it.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, Michael, when you're sharing that message, how important it is. You know I was raised to be good, averagely good at a lot of things, right? Because, we have to do a lot of things in life. So, you don't have to get an A+ in everything, but you should, at least be able to get a C.
Sure.
And as I got older, I realized, boy, I really wish somebody had identified in me my specialized talents at a young age so I could focus on mastering those talents, which raises my value because I'm really, really good at that. And I think towards my real estate career, I started out like everybody. I'm just a licensee, a licensed real estate agent. I go out and sell any kind of real estate. Yeah, but most of us start out specializing in residential real estate, and then you get really good at certain parts of that. I wasn't really good at taking pictures of real estate, so maybe I hired a professional for that. But when it came to negotiating, when it came to putting the deal together, to handling problems, I was really good at that. And you start to gain that reputation. When somebody thinks about their needs in the real estate market, they think of me because of my skills that I have shown, which brought value. And so I love what Michael's saying there. Yeah, let's figure out what you're really, really good at. And how do you figure that out? Well, you figure that out by what you really love to do.
Well, and Frank, can I add something to that from a very
Absolutely.
specific business perspective? This just came to me. I think, guys, if we all answer this series of questions, Frank's using the term good at that. So, right, what am I good at? Right, so I'm good at that for them with this.
Yeah, love that.
Good
Love
at
that.
that for them with this. In other words, Frank's good at listening and coaching other people, right? For retirees that have lost their direction and don't know what to do, and they're just, and they're terrified of vanishing into the sunset, right? Or of young men who are disillusioned and disenfranchised and don't know what to do with their lives, right? And they're looking at, another 60 years on the planet pissed off, right? With a series of Napoleon Hill inspired, structured, weekly coaching sessions and frameworks and, goal planning, whatever that is, right? Like, so suddenly I'm good at that, coaching and listening to others, right? Listening to others and coaching them through things for this particular group of people with this particular object or set of tools or rules, frameworks.
Yeah, I love that. Michael, you know, my wife said one of the most valuable statements that she has ever said to me in our 48 years of marriage is when I say that I'm going to do something, you know, I give somebody a feature of what I do, she would always yell at me, so what?
So
And
what?
basically what she was saying was, okay, so you can do that, but what does that mean to me? You know, and I think it's really, really important when we're sharing these principles, this philosophy, you know, regardless of where it comes from. And by the way, I've got 3 different books sitting on my desk from Napoleon Hill, and the 2 most important, I think, you know, Think and Grow Rich, great, 13 principles. Then you got Napoleon Hill's Keys to Success, which was put out by the foundation, I think, back in the late 90s. And you know what? Most of the stuff in this book isn't in that other book. In fact, one of my you know, constant and never-ending improvement, right? One of my processes I'm going through right now is getting certified to be an instructor certified by the Napoleon Hill Foundation, which is different to being certified to be a coach with the Napoleon Hill Institute. And so one of my missions is, you know, I need to talk about, I need to get lessons on 4 of the 17 keys in this book. And so that should be easy because I've been studying this book for so long, right? Well, guess what? The 4 principles that I'm looking for in here are not in here, right? So being good at everything I don't mean to say being good at everything, being good at what you do and continuously studying it from every angle, from every potential opportunity that might be there. I think in this chapter, specialized knowledge, Napoleon Hill talks about find out what it is that you want to focus on, that special talent that you have, and learn it and study it and study it and study it each and every single day so that you become better and better at what you do because of what you can do for others, which is the value that you bring to your community. Right? Does that make sense? So,
Absolutely, yeah.
Leroy, go for it. Your hands up, brother.
Yeah, great conversation. So yeah, back to um, jack of all trades. Uh, I grew up next to a guy who he started a salvage grocery store in his basement, and today it's a huge store. And he was a success. He owned lots of land, but my father, he was good at carpentry. He did carpentry, but he was never successful at, as far as financial. He he just couldn't. He didn't know how to operate that, and I kind of followed in his footsteps. So this is a very good conversation to have. Is learning that specialized knowledge. I put it in ChatGPT. Something that gave me that I like is knowing Bible stories is general knowledge, but understanding how to help someone overcome fear using biblical principles is specialized knowledge.
Yeah,
So
you're
that's
you're looking deeper, right?
That's
yeah.
powerful.
So and growing up listening to the preachers, they just give you knowledge from the Bible. And a lot of them would say, they don't really know what this all means, but they talk about it. And sometimes I would see some things that's like, well, this is what it means. But I was not a preacher. In the Amish church, if you weren't a preacher, you weren't allowed to, give your opinion about anything. So it really uh now looking back, it looks so silly to think that I can't, share my knowledge with others. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of where I'm, why I started in this the, the Napoleon Hill Institute, or I started PGI is where I first uh, got
Yeah,
into this.
it's where
But
you started. It's where you started in personal development. Why you got
yeah,
started there, right? I
yeah.
mean, one
So
thing that I think one thing we all have in common in this room is that we started it and we're here because of our passion to help other people. And in this
yeah.
case, specifically men, right? So yeah,
So
go ahead, Leroy.
So yeah. So that's where, and some whatever you read at the beginning, Frank, that ChatGPT also gave me that. Well, what was that? Knowledge will not attract money unless it is organized, intelligent, and directed through practical plans of action.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that
I mean,
that's where, yeah.
we all know
um,
somebody who has specialized knowledge. They're
So-
really, really smart and not really, really successful, or
Yeah.
just can't seem to put it all together, right? And I think that's where that quote from Napoleon really has a lot of power. You can have all the knowledge in the world. You can read every book that's out there, and you can regurgitate, which I unfortunately sometimes when somebody says preacher, I think about, yeah, they're regurgitating somebody else's work, right? But you can know all the stuff, but unless you can do the stuff, as a coach, I sit back sometimes and I say, okay, wait a minute, I know the answer to this, so why aren't I doing that?
The knowing and doing, right?
You ever catch yourself with that? I know the
Yeah.
answer to this, and so sometimes I'll look in the mirror and say, okay, Frank, well, if one of your clients was having this problem, what would you suggest they do? And therefore, I uncover what I should be doing instead of moaning and complaining about the fact that I'm not achieving what I want to achieve. Go ahead, Luis.
Well, it comes down to me, it's down to fear. It comes down to fear. We don't take action because we're scared of what's going to happen. I'm going to lose the money, my credibility, blah, 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 blah. Who am I? Right? Because, yes, I agree, because I still know people that they have all the knowledge, specialized knowledge. They put it together and they don't act on it. So it is at the end, that's what I was typing earlier. All these experiences, all these degrees, all this stuff, if we don't put it into action, if we don't actually apply it, it's worthless. It's just a big waste of time and energy to me.
Yeah.
I could be
Yeah.
wrong.
I love it. If you're going to learn it, learn how to use it. Learn how, and sometimes using it is sharing it and helping other people to gain the same knowledge
Right.
and walk side by side. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, being in a mastermind like this gives us an opportunity to share each other's experiences. We all have a lot of the same general knowledge, but here's how Michael might have applied it and achieved a certain amount of success, or Leroy, or whoever. That's what we're doing, is we're continually learning how to
Right.
apply, and it's the application that's important, right?
Yes. And it comes also like getting out of your comfort zone.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
absolutely. Go ahead, Michael.
Well, what a perfect example of this is the hat that I'm wearing right now. Do you guys know who the hat is? Acquisition.com.
Nope, I see it, but I don't know who that is. Is
I
that you,
saw it a
Michael?
few times myself, yeah.
What's that, Yanni?
I saw it a few times myself, yeah, on Facebook.
Okay, so do you guys know, then this is Alex Hormozy's company.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you guys have probably heard of Alex Hormozy at this point,
Yes.
right? Alex Hormozy is a decade younger than I am. Right? So the man has not yet hit 40, and he's worth $250 million. Right? Specialized knowledge. And as Lewis just put it, fearless application of specialized knowledge. He didn't, like, literally, there was nothing, like, he had a gym business. He was a personal trainer. He had no cash. Right? And that's where he was sitting 12 years ago. Where were you 12 years ago?
12 years ago.
Right? In 12 years, zeros, right? $250 million in the bank, right? In assets. So how? Specialized knowledge. It's the only way. Relentless, fearless application of specialized knowledge. And not knowledge that he was inherently with, right? He was a physical specimen. So he obviously is the guy he understood nutrition and these things. And that was some specialized knowledge, which allowed him to build a personal training business. A personal training business has never been worth $250 million. Right? So his next thing was, okay, I have to specialize in understanding how to generate leads from Facebook to fill my gyms. Think about how specialized that is. I need to specialize in understanding how to fill my gym with Facebook ads. My gym, like how special, that's super specialized, right? And fearless application of that concept. What's working, what's not working. And within 18 months, he was able to fill any gym, anywhere, anytime. And that, of course, led to gym launch and everything else. But the point I'm trying to make, you guys, is that we have these examples over and over again of the power of specialized knowledge and its ability to build wealth. Well, whether that's wealth of time, family, love, relationships, money, whatever the wealth is for you, right? And it's through that structured, organized planning that it does that. It doesn't do it by accident. It does it by absolute focused application of specialized knowledge. And that application is multiplied over layers of specialized knowledge. And then you can just attract better people.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Think of how powerful your business could be if you could pay somebody $100,000 to run your ads for you for your coaching business. Right? If you could spend, $5,000 a month filling your programs with leads, right, through ads, because you can spend $5,000 a month hiring somebody who's a specialist to put them into your system, how big could you make your coaching business?
Yeah, Michael, I think one of the things that's really coming out from what you're sharing with us is specialized knowledge, detailed specialized plan to apply that knowledge. And both of those things tie into the other portion of what I wanted to share with everyone today was the definiteness of purpose. All of those things gave this gentleman a boundary to surround his efforts. It helped him to confine his definite purpose. And if something didn't align with what he was trying to achieve, he ignored it. He didn't do that. He
Well, and
only
that's because
focused
he
on
was
that, right?
ruthless about his goal, Frank. The thing that
Ruthless. Listen
think
to that,
that we-
ruthless.
Yeah, the thing that we give up on way too fast, you guys, is what Steve Jobs talks about. You set the objective and then you look at the person and go, okay, you said it's going to take you 3 weeks. How do you do it in 12 days?
Yeah.
Right? Like we give ourselves outs all the time on some of these things. And I am just as guilty as everybody else going, I want to accomplish this by July 31st, 2026, 5 p.m. And then I don't go about making sure that happens in a way. I give myself a trapdoor, an out. And one of the greatest things I ever did was I've used a website called stick.com. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this, but it's basically a website where you make a commitment, right? And then you put your credit card in.
Yes.
And you use an uncomfortable amount of money. Not debilitating, but uncomfortable. 5 grand, 10 grand, 15 grand, whatever that is, 20 grand, whatever's going to make your butt pucker a little bit, right? And you put that in. And Frank's been married for a long time. Rob, quick question for you. If you put your ex-wife's name in there that you had to give her $25,000 if you failed in your goal, how difficult would that be?
Very difficult.
Yeah. And then not only does she get the 25,000, but she gets a message saying that Rob McCaslin failed in his goal.
Yeah,
He's
that would make
puckering.
the pucker factor just went up a little bit.
Right? And so the point of the website, which is great, and the point of what I'm trying to say here is that those consequences drive action in a way that most of us never have to deal with anymore. Right? Like Rob, Frank, you guys are soldiers. You've had to do things that I can't even remotely understand, and in places that are far more dangerous than I've ever even thought of. But so in my life, I don't have those types of consequences. So what are the consequences that Yaniv has to give himself to make sure that he accomplishes the goal that he wants within the 90 days he's given himself, or does it even faster?
Yeah.
And we don't live in a life anymore, guys, where we have to run from the bears, as it was put earlier to me, or the tigers or whatever. Like everything is provided. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is set up. So all of this stuff is a mental exercise.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, one of my specialized knowledge elements is going, what is the consequence? What makes what do we have to do to Frank to scare the shit out of him that he actually does the work fast enough and builds momentum? Because momentum is the combination of weight and speed. Weight and speed, right?
Michael, I think what you're sharing is a great example of flat fight or flight.
Yeah.
Right? You know, I learned at an early age that if I might procrastinate, and I do still procrastinate. I'm guilty of that. But I'm only going to procrastinate so long. And that's when my back gets up against the wall. Then all of a sudden I have two options. I can either fight or I quit, which is flight, right?
Yeah.
And quitting has to be so costly and so painful that the only option you have is fighting. And you know, kind of relates to what the story of the burn your boats, right, or burn your bridges.
That's right.
You know, you give up on all opportunities of escape, and you only have one option: stand and fight. And that's what that website's what all about. I learned that same lesson in a different way, but what a great lesson.
Well, and what a powerful thing to have. And what's great, guys, is that even in a group like this, maybe there's somebody in this group that can act as your consequence.
Yeah.
Right? Like they hold your feet to the fire. They act as the consequence, right? When Lewis is training somebody to be a champion, like Lewis has become, there's legitimate consequences to stepping in the ring unprepared. And I would imagine at some point, as Lewis is prepping one of these guys, or even prepping himself, there's a decision that has to be made going, am I actually ready for this? Because if I step in the ring and I don't know what I'm doing or protect myself, I could legitimately ruin my life. Like if I'm not ready, this person could snap something. They could hit me in a way that gives me a horrifying concussion because I'm not prepared to protect myself. And we all know what the consequences of that can be, right? So there's like legitimate consequences. And the mental exercise of building a coaching business, right, can become a hobby instead of an actual life or death situation.
Yeah.
And the tricky part with this industry is that it thrives on people buying hobby, not life or death situations. And you want to achieve something amazing, all of you. So therefore, make it a life or death situation instead of a hobby.
Yeah. Great. It was such great insight, Michael. Thank you for sharing. Phil, I see your hand up, brother.
Yeah, that was great. I took my mind down a few different rabbit holes there. Lots of great specialized knowledge that everybody here is sharing. And I think to bring it back to be the simple part is that what is our life's experience? It developed strengths. And we have strengths, we've got weaknesses, and to be aware of those so we can delegate out the weaknesses and take on someone else's weakness, which is our strength. One great quote I love in this chapter is an educated person is one who can have everything and anything they want without violating the rights of others. So without having to force or create rules and regulations for other people or interfering with them doing what they want. This week of freedom that we get to celebrate, we have the freedom to do that when we use this knowledge and we acquire knowledge. We have somebody in the team, like the example was Henry Ford pushing a button, 22 different people could come at his disposal. And then, like you said, Frank, it's what is our purpose? Why are we here? What is that thing, that mission that we're on? And like you were just talking, Michael, is that from Bob Proctor, there was a great book. Of course, Bob Proctor would always say, um, everything here in my programs is organized and intelligently directed. He was selling the program that way. But the idea too of having the goals, what is the goal? You know, what are we tolerating? What's our values? The idea that if I think it's Robert Heinlein that said the quote, you know, in the absence of goals, we basically set aside just doing trivial things. You know, all the minutia we focus on the minutia, things that don't matter. So that's where the business becomes a hobby. Coach becomes a hobby. It's fun to coach. It's fun to say I'm a coach. It's fun to go to events. Um, Yet, what are we really doing? How are we expressing that? And how do we let people communicate in faith, in self-confidence, not in fear of what someone else might say, like Luis was talking about earlier? Um, so being aware that we all have specialized knowledge in ourselves, our experiences, our adversities that we've had, we've become stronger. And that's where mine is. Mine is going through adversities. I've been through a divorce. I've been through a business divorce. I've been through business mergers and then marriage that didn't work. Doesn't mean I'm opposed to the concept. It's just a matter of the experience I had helped me to figure out, how do I be a better person? How do I be a better leader? How do I not leave things unspoken and unsaid that are really important? And so that when we can do this, this becomes a specialized knowledge that we can share with others and listen to other people and take it from there.
Yeah, Phil, great comments, explanation of what you're pulling out of this. And the thing is when we have that specialized knowledge and we harness that energy, and it opens up the door of, okay, what's our purpose? And so definitely ties into our definite. If you're having a hard time figuring out what your definite purpose is, get clear on what your strengths are, get clear on what your specialized knowledge is, create a plan, and now you've got the guidepost to take you down the road. It gives you direction, it eliminates confusion, it creates motivation, it attracts opportunities, and it makes decisions easier, because if it's not in alignment with what your knowledge is, what your purpose is, then it's not a decision you need to make. Right? So go ahead, Rob.
Something that you said, Phil. Learning from your mistakes, learning from your adversity, learning from the seasons in life. That's one of those Stoic principles that I really hone in on a lot of times. Is how do we interpret what's going on in our world? I use that, and it really helps me get out of places where that self-talk would start beating me down or whatnot. But I really like that, Phil. And then another thing about specialized knowledge, I think, to Michael's point about my ex-wife, who, by the way, because I was married to her in the military, is getting a portion of my retirement, but that's a whole other conversation. Um, uh, but was something that happened to me last week that 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 fueled my specialized knowledge. So, working for Pokemon, there's trucks that deliver these Pokemon products. Well, there was an incident in another state, um, and it was caught on the video footage, but the video footage wasn't secured. So when it comes to that legal chain of custody type of thing, was your video encrypted? Has it been manipulated? The court can easily debunk anything that they're looking at in terms of video. So we had a meeting. We're going to have a meeting with the vendor of these trucks that are delivering the Pokemon cards. They're like, "Hey, can you guys help us out with securing this video, wrapping it, encryption, fingerprints, hash, and all this?" Yeah, we can do it. Hey, Rob, can you do that? And I was like, yeah. So right before the meeting, I was asked, "Are you sure you're ready?" Okay. That fueled my specialized knowledge because it was just, for me, it was questioning my integrity. I told you I could do it. I'm going to do it. We sat down in front of the client. The client said, "How much?" My CEO and my CFO couldn't answer them. I said, "That's not my question to answer, gents. Made that mistake before in this last experience I had. Let you guys, the decision makers there, make those decisions." But that fueled it. So get like the ex-wife analogy, and then this guy saying, "Hey, are you sure?" It fueled that specialized knowledge.
Yeah. And that's your value. That specialized knowledge is your value that you offer to the benefit of the client. So if they can see the benefit, they're gonna pay the money, whatever it costs, because they recognize the value that you present, right? One of the things that all this ties into is that once you've identified your strengths, your talents, your specialized knowledge, you've created the plan, you get to choose your own direction. And people with purpose, they accept responsibility, they stay focused, they overcome obstacles, and they create their own opportunities. So I'm going to say, being narrowly focused on that special skill that you have gives you an immense amount of power. And that power becomes evident so that people will write you the check for what they know you can accomplish. and the benefit that they're going to achieve by that. Yeah, Neve, I know I saw your hand up earlier. It came down. You have something you want to share, brother?
Um, yeah, okay. I just wanted to share something from Michael also. I'm very admired what you said, being scared of what I am, not doing it enough time. I mean, I'm 48 and I'm reaching to 50-year-old, right? So what I've accomplished in the last 5 years, I haven't accomplished in the last 40 years of my life, to be honest. And the reason is I actually came from two different worlds, to be honest. I haven't achieved things in the last 40 years that I'm achieved now, to be honest, because I wasn't in that mindset. And talking about bringing the specialized knowledge, I wanted to bring something within me. What do I have in me in the specialized knowledge that will separate myself than the 95% of people that I was surrounding with? What is it? And I was looking for it. And I was in my worst time of my life when I found Thinking Grow Rich and I was reading it. And because of that, I decided to stand out and fight. Fight for myself because I've just been so sick and tired of being sick and tired to being a proper drifter. Because everyone can be drift for to a certain limit. But how far can you go down for you to realize it's like, bang, that's it, that's enough. I've had enough. I have to do something for myself to become better. And that's why it's very important for us to, it doesn't matter what stuff you learn. If you really get hooked up with something and you so obsessed with it, that your life, you like, depends on it, study it, learn it, and apply it. And that's what I've done. I mean, Frank knows how far I went in the last 3 years since we met, since the first time I went on the Napoleon Hill Institute. You've been my first mentor after Procter and Gallagher, and I said, Frank, this is what I'm going to do. This is what my life depends on it, because I don't want to do anything else. Because this stuff has actually saved my life, right? And this is what I want to do. So talking about specialized knowledge is we have so much to give than to take. So I believe when you give so much, the triple come back to you from the universe itself. It doesn't matter from where, doesn't matter if you help 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 people, it will come from other sources, from a hidden door, from the most least expensive experience you have, it will come up to you.
Yeah.
It's all
Thank
about
you.
faith and obviously um, definite of purpose. Because the specialized knowledge we talk about definite of purpose. What is your purpose? What was my purpose behind it? Is to reach to the stage where I am now today. And now one thing to the finish. Michael, did he mention Alex Hormozy? Hormozy, is it? Am I pronouncing it right? I just got it last week and I haven't started it. So you just mentioned it. It was a reason for you to mention that is to make me snap myself. It says, hey, this guy, Michael, just put it up and it was tucked into my library on my side. Yeah, so yeah, right. And also to the finish, one thing, I actually I like I love filling up my library. It doesn't matter from what. So I've got a library of all my specialized knowledge that I want to study and be an expert, such as sales, wealth, studying the successful people in the world. And today I decided to spend and to spend another more money to buy another book, The Law of Success. Now I was looking for that specific The Law of Success from Napoleon Hill because there's so many copies out there. But there's one copy I found was the 19, is that the 1927
This is the
manuscript?
original. These are the original lessons.
Yeah, so that's from the 1927 manuscript, which has
Yeah.
got 530 pages. And that one I actually invested money.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So this is the reason why we all doing it for a specific reason. not just for the for specialized knowledge. It's for the definite of our purpose.
Yeah. You know, I think Michael put a great comment in the comments
Go on.
that will be helpful to all of us. I think we have our purpose. You know, the word purpose keeps getting thrown around, right? Michael says, I think we have our purpose, but do we have our goal? So, Michael, do me a favor, from your perspective, share what's the difference between the purpose and the goal?
So a goal has a date, right? So I mean, Yaniv's got his goal card, right? To me, a goal is like a purpose. You guys is a wider lens outcome, and I think they have broader strokes. And the fact is that the goals are the milestones, the points that you want to hit. So if I use like running a marathon as an example, when I was running marathons, you would have the goal or the purpose is to finish the marathon, right? But the goal is to run to that street light, right? The goal is to to get to the next gummy bear station, right? The goal is to, you know, somehow get up that hill and tag that, that dude's hand at who's high-fiving people at the end of that strip, right? Like that's the goal, right? So purpose is the directionality of where you're going. And the thing with purpose too is that it doesn't have to be accomplished to incredible results. Right? So like I heard a guy the other day saying, "Oh, I want to help 1 million people." And it's like, sure, that's a cool purpose. But if he helps 992,000 people, he didn't reach that purpose, and yet he's still got 992,000 people. You know what I mean? Like, so the fact is that I think a lot of the time the purpose is the climbing of our Mount Everest. It's the top, and yet even if we don't reach the absolute summit, what we've accomplished on the way to getting there, which are the goals, the milestones, the objectives, right? That's the thing. And so purpose is a wonderful sort of altruistic perspective on things, but I think it's the goals that keep people motivated. It's the goal that's in sight that keeps people running on the marathon. It's not the final destination, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And the great difference between purpose and goal. It's the milestone. The goals are the milestones. There could be hundreds or thousands of milestones before you achieve your goal. But it's what keeps you on purpose. And I think Rob put in there, it's your North Star.
Yeah. And so Frank, I think you know the purpose, my friend, because you asked at the beginning of this call, I want to talk about our purpose. I think you know the purpose. I think we know the purpose. It's like, what is the goal? What do we want to do in the next 30 days with the 17 Club? What's the objective in the next 30 days? Is it just to keep attending meetings and having phenomenal conversations and uplifting each other? Or is there something else? And deep down, I think that's what your question is craving. I think that's what it's asking is what are we doing here in the next 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, whatever it is? What's the objective of the 17 Club in this short window of time? Because that's what's going to keep the train on the tracks, right? Heading in the direction we want it to go.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Thank you, Michael. And I've got an example of what that might look like as we wrap it up. But Leroy, you got your hand up. Go for it.
I really like what ChatGPT gave me on definite major purpose. Is not merely what you do, it is the central truth you are committed to expressing through everything you do. So that, I think we know our definite major purpose, and we all want to make a difference. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're fortunate. We're fortunate in today's session that most of us, I think, with the exception of Rob, we're all coaches, but I think we're all here for the same purpose. One, we want to be better ourselves. Two, we want to help other men be better as well. Before I forget, before I get wrapped up into a conclusion, I see your hand, Louise. I'll let you come back in. I mentioned a book yesterday in my private mastermind that I run and recommend. It was recommended to me by a gentleman from the Napoleon Hill Foundation as we were discussing this men's mastermind group and what we're trying to accomplish. He asked me a question if I had ever read the book called Iron John. Iron John, Iron John. And I had not. And the book is written by Robert Bly. I downloaded the Audible recording and I ordered the book, which should be here shortly. But over the last 2 days, I've listened to about 2.5 hours worth of the book on Audible. And I recommend highly that anyone in this room, and I think that includes all of us, that's interested in having an impact on not only our own lives, but on the lives of other men, get the book. I'm already so highly impressed by the messages of how we have changed from the 1950s version of a man to what we currently have today, sadly, the 2026 version of most men, and how that all transpired and how it happened. So the book again is Iron John, written by Robert Bly. All right. Make sure you read that book or at least listen to it. I'm finding it fascinating. Go ahead, Luis.
It's on my next list.
Yeah, you can go broke buying books from this bookstore
Yeah,
or this this
who here
mastermind.
doesn't have a row of 15 or 20 books in line to read, right? Who isn't? Um, I agree 95% with what Michael said. I would just, my definition of, because yeah, it was very, for me, it was very confusing when I first started self-development, goal and purpose. And now I totally understand, thanks to you, Frank, months ago. Yeah, those are two different things. Absolutely. So to me, goals, goals is the way to fulfill my the burning desire,
Right. The purpose.
my purpose. Yes,
Yeah, the purpose is singular. The goals are multiple,
and it's
right?
goals after goal after goal after
Right.
goal, just like Michael said. Right? Sometimes you're gonna be able to help 5 people, and sometimes you're helping your kid, and sometimes you're helping your mom, and sometimes you help a complete stranger on focusing or going back like in realignment, and sometimes you're going to get a lot of freaking money for it, and sometimes you get not even get a thank you for it, but inside you know that you did the right thing and it fulfilled you.
Yeah.
So absolutely, so to
I
me
might
that is,
add,
yeah, go
I
of
might add
course.
to that, Louise. I don't mean to interrupt you. I might add to that that sometimes you won't even know that you're making impact and
Oh,
helping people.
100%, yeah.
Sometimes if you just do the thing, don't worry about it. You're impacting somebody's watching, right?
Right,
Wait, how many times you've been caught screwing up and you thought nobody was watching? Trust
right,
me, somebody's watching, all right?
yes.
So but don't worry about that. Don't worry about that acknowledgement.
No, absolutely. And even
Feed your purpose.
yes, and Dr. Joe said it like a month ago, right? Here, right here. The words, when we believe in someone, when we say something to somebody, it makes a freaking impact.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yes.
Exactly. So I'd like to share, Yaniv, I see your hand up. Short and sweet, buddy. We're already over time.
Yeah,
12:04.
yeah.
Go for it.
I just gonna add a quick add with regard to what Luis has said. In return, what we do to how we help people. Obviously, in a yesterday conversation, I mentioned that I helped someone who actually cured their stage 4 cancer by engaging her and helping her on her way. And the compensation from that, because I told her about the Dr. Joe Dispenza and I told her about this retreat, 3 days retreat, which he's going to do on September in Switzerland, she actually got me and my wife a ticket and a hotel on her own expenses
Nice.
because I helped her. That was in return, and I was not expecting that
You
because
didn't
she
do it
wanted
for
me to
that.
come with them, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah,
You, you didn't do it for that. You
no,
did it
I
because it was the
didn't.
right thing to do, right?
No,
Right. So
I did it because I wanted to help her. That's why.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Thank you, Yaniv. Great
No
point.
problem.
I want to wrap this up with this right here is going to help us all. If you're having struggle putting together uh, your purpose statement, uh, 4 questions you can ask, or complete the sentence, I should say. I want to complete that sentence. I will become, complete that sentence. I will contribute, complete that sentence. I will accomplish this by, set the date. So once again, I want to, I will become, I will contribute, and I will accomplish this by this date. And then between now and next Tuesday, when we meet again, I challenge you to combine the answers or the comments on those 4 statements into your clear purpose statement. And just as an example, for me and my goals and what I'm trying to accomplish, I will become a leader who inspires men to discover purpose, character, and positively impact their families and communities while building a meaningful coaching business by December 31st, 2027. I want to, I will become, I will contribute, and I'll accomplish it by a specific date. Take that with you as you wrap it up today. Let's meet next week. Yes, I will open next week with asking someone to share their purpose statement. So please, please don't not show up because you know somebody's going to get called. Show up so that we can show that we can do this. And maybe it'll help you get some clarity and make some progress on your
And
purpose.
let's invite more freaking people.
Yeah, let's get
Absolutely.
look what we're looking at right here, guys. Let's get those people that we brought into this group back into this group, right? I understand life happens and it's summertime and people are doing all kinds of things, but let's stay on focus.
I felt that.
I felt that. I love it, Louise. All right, brothers, we'll talk to
Let
you
me
later.
just
Have a
finish
great
with
rest of your week.
Let me just
Brilliant
finish with a
session.
quote, guys, that
Thank
just
you.
take it away. Never give up on the person you're destined to become, no matter how difficult the journey gets.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Yaniv. Talk to you later, guys. Have a great week.
Take care, guys. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Michael.
Thanks,
everyone.
guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.